Hey everyone, I'm back! Finally, it feels like I've been gone forever. I can't make promises when my next video will be here, but this one is here now, so yay! I am simply taking that deli paper. I'm going to end up putting it over this page, but first I wanted to get some color down because that deli paper is translucent, so I figured, let's put some color behind it. So I felt like playing with dilution, so I took an old cleaner bottle and I filled it up with water once it was empty, so I sprayed down the whole page to get the colors running and moving, and I used, I want to say, orange peel or squeezed orange, and then bubblegum pink. My bubblegum pink was almost gone, so I just put a whole bunch of water in it, and as you can see, it still works. So now I'm just taking that deli paper and I'm going to end up gluing it down with Mod Podge. I'm using the matte. It was almost gone. It was so old it was getting all clumpy, so it was time to use it up. So I wasn't too worried about the dilutions running or anything because I was just providing background color. I don't care about those giant splotches of whatever it was leaking through. All that's going to get covered up. So just gluing this page down. It's been a really, really fun couple of weeks for me. School's been kind of exciting, even though I found out I won't be able to graduate until May instead of winter this year. I still have the same amount of classes to take, they just won't be offering the classes I need until the spring. So the nice thing is I should have a couple of fairly easy semesters before I graduate. So hooray for that. Still gluing this down, and just went to my father's house in Phoenix and had a really good time and got to spend time with my sister, and my sister is like amazing. She's so much fun to be with, and it's just really easy for us to get along. We used to not like each other very much, and yeah, we love each other now. Well, we loved each other then, but we just didn't like each other then. So we love each other and like each other now. So that's always a perk. So as you can see, I'm just ripping off the edges of the deli paper. And didn't really care too much about having a perfect look. Otherwise I would have cut it. So now I'm just trying to find some acrylic paints that blend with those colors. And I did, as you can see. This pink is by Amsterdam, and I want to say it's quinacridone rose. Yeah, quinacridone rose. And the other one is also an Amsterdam paint, and it is Azo Orange. So if you want some nice bright colors, I really love the Amsterdam paints for the really bright colors. And I want to say those are available at Aaron Brothers. So I'm just scraping it on with the palette knife. I didn't want it perfect. I just wanted to essentially pull the colors through the deli paper up to the top, but I knew that spraying with dilutions on wax paper would just make the dilutions beat up, since it's a non-stick, non-porous surface. So this is a homemade stencil that I've had forever, and I am just pouncing some gesso through it, and I'm going pretty light on the gesso. So in some areas it's almost just like a ghosted dilutions look. But I'm going to do more with these stars. So see, and I'm letting the paintbrush dry out over to the edges so that it fades out. Doing some of those incomplete stars. That way it helps give you a good, naturally like faded look when you have some incompletes. So I'm just doing the same thing over on the other side. I honestly had no clue what I was going to do with this page. With the stars, at any rate, I was like, well, I'm just going to put some gesso down. And then at first I was thinking mix acrylic paint, and then I was like, nah. So yeah, I kind of didn't know where I was going. But I gotta say, I'm usually like that. That's why a lot of my pages kind of come out a mess. But it's fun working through the mess, getting to a point that's not a mess, or at least is an acceptable mess. One of my other pages that's coming up, it's in my journal that was made out of the Shutterfly ad, and I have not been able to bring it out, the video, because the page isn't done. I thought the page was done, but it was so ugly. I was just going to release it. I just couldn't. So now I'm covering it up. So at any rate, I am using a water brush. This is the Ranger Tim Holtz water brush, the detailed one, and I'm just going straight onto my inktense blocks. And it's the teal turquoise color. Teal. It's more green. So it's the teal color, and I'm just going on and I'm just coloring right over the gesso with the water and the inktense. Now, what's interesting is that some of these stars colored easier than others. Some of them, the ink wanted to beat up a little bit, and some of them just went straight in. And I'm thinking the reason that they beat it up was because some of these were so thin, the gesso was so thin, that there wasn't enough for it to really stick to for the inktense. So, yeah, I think that's why that did that. So it's kind of fun seeing a new way that the same two products can react differently depending on the amount you use. So this is pretty much more of the exact same thing. So I am currently on spring break, and hooray for that. I needed a week off, so that's exciting. And I just about 10 minutes ago booked my hotel room. I'm going down to California to see a friend. My wife and I are going to go down there and hang out for the weekend, this upcoming weekend. My mom's awesome. She's going to watch my son for me. So, get to go down and see her. So, it'll be fun to get out of town and hang out with her and do artsy crafty stuff. She's going to take us to Art Supply Warehouse. She's going to be really, really impressed that I remembered that, because I don't remember anything. My memory is terrible. Oh my god, it's terrible. I swear. You know those people that say, if your head wasn't attached, you wouldn't remember to. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's so me. But I remember stupid stuff. So my wife says stupid stuff sticks. But she changes stuff to make it slightly more inappropriate. So, yeah, SSS, stupid stuff sticks. So right now I am shading those stars. I was on a phone call, so I didn't want to do too much that would require, using a heat gun or, having to get up and walk away and wash. So I just pulled out my pens, my Pitt artist pens, and started shading. And let me see what color that is for you. It's gray. It's like a light gray, but the nice thing about the light gray is the more you add on top, it continues to get darker. So right now you really can't see it. By the time I'm done, I had gone over them a couple times. So it really started darkening up. But you have to wait. You have to let them dry, because if you do it while it's wet, it just kind of smears it around. So let's see. This is Cold Gray 3232. I mean, just listen to this. Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen Big Brush Cold Gray 3232 star. I mean, now do you see why I call them my all of the above pens? And they didn't even put Design Memory Craft on there. That would have just, it's terrible. So, yeah, I was still on the phone and still shading. So let's see, is there anything else new? I haven't been doing much art because of school. So when I get the chance, I try to get in my little studio space and try to just plow through a bunch of stuff. I actually have a couple of pages done in the other book that I'm making and showing with you guys. The old ad that I've converted into an art journal. There's that one page that I'm just having an issue with, and it's, I think, finally getting to where I'm maybe an hour of work away from done. Maybe. Probably less. Then there's another page after that, which I love. So I can't wait to show that one. And I actually really love how the one that I'm showing you right now, I love how this one ended up coming out. So, sorry I didn't speed up this shading a little bit more. But I've started getting into shading a little bit more as far as, colors and everything. I've done some shading in other videos before. If you saw my YouTube hop video, I did a bunch of circles that ended up looking like suns, and those were all shaded, but I used paint. So I'm really getting into shading with these markers, because the markers they're so nice because they're wet like a paint, so you can blend them, but they dry quickly like a marker. So you just have to do it on a non-porous surface. So because this whole surface was gessoed and then there was paint on top, or not gesso, Mod Podge, and then paint, it does not blend. So as you can see, the stars are now getting darker and darker and darker. Every time I go over it, it gets a little bit darker. However, if you start with like a black, it doesn't give you the same shaded, blended look. So that's why I like the gray. You can build it up. In this, I'm just going in with my archival ink pad, and I was just stamping with a trivet that I got from Walmart, and spraying down some music paper with some crushed grape dilutions, and then a little bit of After Midnight. After Midnight's the dark blue / purple, maybe indigo kind of color. It's a really good color. So when I spray dilutions and I don't want like a solid look, I spray the whole paper with water. That forces them to kind of move around before they seep into the paper. The only problem with that is then it takes a long time to seep into the paper because there is so much water. So then I usually do this. I'll find other things and start dipping them. And so when I color one thing, I usually color a whole bunch of things. I grab little sheets of music paper that I'd torn off, and I grabbed some iCads and just dunk them in. There's no point wasting. So I'm just tearing some of this music paper. I'm going to do a strip across it. This page, the initial colors, the pink and the orange, were inspired by Donna Downing. She did a video about a year and a half ago, and they were probably about a year ago, and it was pink and orange, and there was something really awesome about the colors. So I decided to start with that. And then normally what I do is I have an issue with blending colors. So I find one or two colors that go together, pink and teal and turquoise, and then I usually use 2, sometimes 3 of those colors, and then add black or gray or brown, add a neutral into it. I'm not very good at mixing a lot of colors together. That's not my forte. So I decided on this page I was going to use more than 2 colors. Two colors is usually my norm. Sometimes 3. So essentially on this page I've got pink, orange, teal, purple, and blue with the After Midnight. So it turned out to be a very, very, very colorful page, and I actually really like how it came out. So just sometimes forcing yourself out of your comfort zone makes you think about things in a different way. So then I'm just taking gelato after I Mod Podge those strips of paper down, and I'm just smearing it out, just trying to blend it in. I do love gelatos for that. They're great. They almost feel like an oil pastel, but they're less, not sticky, maybe sticky. So I got some a little bit too far and I didn't like it, so I got it wet and lifted it up because it is on a non-porous surface, so it's easy to do. Now I'm just using these giant stamps and I'm just putting a quote in there. I pulled the A off. I'm using the compact press, Fisker stamp press, and I pulled the A off because it's right there by the binding of this book, and it was really hard to get to, so I had to scoot it as close to the end as I could. So I'm just putting Have a Blast, and I don't care if they stamp perfectly, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go back over them with a bunch of stuff. So eventually I'll stamp it. There you go. I think this page happened in about maybe 2 days time and a total of 2.5 hours. So, but one of the things you have to realize about art journaling, and this is where I need to really change my ways. I'm using Neocolor 2s, by the way, and just coloring on those letters. I need to slow down. I am in such a rush to get pages done that I don't slow down and take my time. And so I've been watching a lot of Vicky P, and she really takes her time and she plans everything out, and it's a beautiful thing. So I'm trying to slow myself down. So thanks, Vicky, for the inspiration to slow down and take your time and do shading, and she's great. So yeah, I was using the Neocolors. I put down the pigment into the letters, and then I'm taking clear gesso to essentially activate the water reactive nature of those colors. And then what it's also doing is, when it dries, essentially it's taking that clear gesso and turning it into the color of the Neocolor. So what I'm going to do next is add some more of the Neocolor on top, and it'll get even brighter. I didn't want to do white gesso because I didn't want to have to fight with covering up the white, so I figured this was the next best thing. So I already had a base color, whatever color I was trying to go with. Plus I didn't want to cover up the black outline. And if you used white, you run the risk of covering up the black outline. So this way you can be a little bit sloppier and it's harder to notice. Drying footage. Oh, extreme close-up, you're welcome. So now that that's mostly dry, I'm just going right back in over the top of each of those letters and taking that Neocolor, just going right over the top. And if you'll notice, look how much more intense it is this time. It's much more opaque, it's more intense. So that worked out well. And then I just took a little bit of water just again to activate it a bit. Plus I didn't want it extremely opaque. I wanted some of the background to leak through. So I'm just going through and just kind of blending out the colors a little bit. They end up being mostly opaque, but there are some areas you can see through them. In the video, that pink looks like mauve. It's not mauve. It's pink. I love those Neocolor 2s. I took them to my dad's house. We drove to my dad's house. He lives in Phoenix. We drove there, my sister and then I flew back here. And so she's still there. And I took my Neocolors with me, and I was coloring, and my dad came out and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm coloring." And he just looked at me like, you're a grown man coloring. So I was like, well, look at it this way. At least they're expensive crayons. And he just looked at me. He didn't get it. Then I had to show him how they're water soluble, and then he was like, "Oh, actually, that's kind of cool." I'm like, "Yeah, hello. I'm awesome." So I'm just adding white to add some highlights, and then because I still have the other color of the Neocolor in there, the top layer wasn't sealed with the gesso. It blends really beautifully and then creates that awesome highlight. So now I'm just going in and adding more colors. So half is going to be orange, a tealy, turquoisey, teal. They're different colors. The teal, and then pink for blast. So again, more gesso. I end up really having a really hard time with that A. That A does not like me. And if any of you are wondering about the little palette that I'm using, there was a local pottery store that you can go and paint your own stuff, and they had this little palette, and I was like, oh, that would be perfect. Because I'm constantly using my craft sheet, which is great for a palette. However, if you want to move stuff, it's not good. I always end up setting my journal in something. So that's why I never decorate my covers until the last page is done, because otherwise the covers just get horribly icky. Or my favorite word, skanky. So, yeah. So I like using that. Plus then I can just pick it up and take it to the sink and wash it out. But usually there's nothing left to wash out. Just rinse it off. So this was fun. It was a truly mixed media page. I mean, it's got dilutions in it. It's got essentially paint with the gesso. It's got white gesso, clear gesso. It's got, some wax paper, some music paper. It's got gelatos. It's got India ink from the Pit, all of the above pens. What else you got on you? Oh yeah, Neocolor, so watercolor crayons. Archival ink. So this has almost every single item that I regularly use on this page. It's got inktense on it. It was a lot of fun, and it came out nicely, surprisingly. I did not expect this page to be as great as it was. So, as you could see, what happened with this A was I went to blend it with my finger, and my finger had black gelato on it, so it got all black and icky. So I did not want black and icky for that letter. So I had to wash it away and start all over again. And I did it again. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. By the way, I got a new pack of washcloths specifically for my craft room, and I got them from Walmart. They're just like white, kind of like bar mop washcloths, and they were $4 for a pack of 18. So check out Walmart if you need towels. I prefer using regular towels over paper towels because it's less wasteful, unless you plan on using the paper towel in your journal. So that's possible. But I also like it just because they're always nearby. They dry out quickly, and then worst comes to worst, you can throw it in the washer. So that's the page. I added some white splatters of paint. Sorry I didn't get that on camera, but figured you know how to use it. So here's some up-close pictures. There's going to be one more of the right page with some texture. You'll be able to see it. So there you go. That's a new page for you. So I'll see you all soon. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, like, subscribe, follow me on Pinterest, on Facebook, on Instagram. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.